Global pandemic that swept through our city without apology and continues to demand daily management. And in keeping with the resilience on which we've been steadfastly focused, we've answered this challenge with our values and our vision of creating a city of opportunity for everyone who calls it home. This is always at the forefront of our work. Like the rest of the world, St. Pete's people have felt the stinging effects of the coronavirus. And like the best of our world, we have wrapped our heads, hearts, and arms around the people and places, norms, and neighbors who need us most. So congratulations, St. Pete. Well done, because we did that together. 2020 showed that we are a resilient, compassionate community, competitively positioned to create a bright future that makes the most of our many opportunities in education, commerce, wealth creation, and collective impact. Individually, we soar, together we shine, and we're moving forward in great ways. Special thanks today to our partners who helped steward our economy and propel it forward, making all of this so true. In addition to everyone who chooses to build a life, chase a dream, raise a family, and spend their earnings here, we are so grateful to our partners, such as the St. Pete Chamber, the EDC, the Innovation District, Main Street, and corridor organizations. This is a long list, but it's important. The Downtown Partnership, the Urban League, United Way and 2020 Plan, One Community, Pinellas County Schools, St. Pete's 3 institutions of higher learning, the Arts Alliance and arts organizations, culture curators like I Love the Berg, and Keep St. Pete Local, St. Pete Rising, and so many others. The Foundation for a Healthy St. Pete, our community foundations and philanthropists, our healthcare providers, our medical community, partner governments, delegation, and so many others, all coming together to make this community work, one for the other. We thank you. Mayor Kreisman, St. Pete City Council, and I, our whole team, we offer huge thanks. You'll hear from Mayor Kreisman at the wrap-up of today's presentation. But now Alan Delisle, St. Pete's City Development Administrator, will take us through the state of St. Pete's economy. Alan's team, in partnership with Marketing Director Nina Mahmoudi and her team, have worked so hard to distill tons of data into a digestible presentation that informs and inspires. Great job, team. And after receiving this information, I'm sure you'll agree that there's much to celebrate, but much more to do as we continue our epic movement along the margin of excellence from great to iconic city. We're so fortunate to be on this journey with you. Thank you for being here today. Alan?
Deputy Mayor, thank you very much for that introduction. And, there's really 2 major elements to this resilient and diverse economy theme that we have today. One is about people. It's about involving as many people in our economy as possible from all walks of life, all backgrounds. And the second piece is to make sure that we involve as many companies and industries, and our Grow Smarter strategy is all about that. The more that play, the better and stronger and more diverse our economy is. And Deputy Mayor, nobody epitomizes that more than you do in your leadership. So thank you very much for what you have done for our economy. Next slide, please, or first slide. So we say this every year. This is not our information. This is third-party information. This is federal, state reports that we dig into all year long to give us an honest and objective analysis. Mayor Kreisman early on in the administration said, let's do this. Let's look at our strengths and weaknesses honestly. This year, we are looking at the timing is a little different. There's some data that reflects just 2019, and there's some data that reflects 2020. So I just wanted to mention that. I'll try to point that out as I go along. I want to thank Brian Caper for his great work on this. And I did want to mention that we've got many videos throughout this presentation this year, and there may be a slight delay in those videos when they come up. And lastly, before I get to the data, I want to mention our staff at the City Development Administration. They work on the economy every day, all year long. It is their job. And we've got some great leaders, fantastic leaders, great public servants, and real professionals that really know this business very well. I want to thank Joe Zioli, who's our administration and finance leader for CDA, Chris Balestra with the Enterprise Facilities Department, Evan Morey with Parking and Transportation, Alfred Wendler with Real Estate, Liz Abernathy with Planning and Development Services. Liz, I got that right this time. Sophia Sorolis with Economic and Workforce Development, and Vicki Such. Vicki does it all. She keeps us together, keeps us organized, and keeps us focused. So thank you to all of those great professionals. Next slide. Before we go into this year, I wanted to just take a quick look at last year. We're going to end with the 2020 scorecard, but I want to start with the 2019 scorecard. Last year, we improved in 41 out of 43 indicators. Just an amazing year, as the deputy mayor mentioned. A very good, strong economy, basically functioning on all cylinders. 10 out of 15, we were in the top half of our peer cities. So we did pretty good against our competition. And this one just sticks out for me. Last year, 12 out of 14 indicators were better than the MSA. So we were improving the MSA's numbers because of St. Pete's strengths. So we were on a roll. Next slide. And ULI, many of you probably know ULI, Urban Land Institute, really one of the biggest development associations in the country and in the world. Last year, they ranked St. Pete 11th in the country as a US market to watch in terms of development. This year, and this just came out recently, this is for 2021, they ranked us 6th. And so look at that. We are in the major leagues. We're playing with some major competition. Raleigh, Durham, Austin, Nashville, Dallas, Charlotte, Tampa, St. Pete, or St. Pete, Tampa. And look at that quote. Tampa and St. Petersburg are really doing a lot right. It has a great mix of business leadership, safety, affordability, waterfront development, and job growth. And both are well-governed cities. Mayor, council, both are well-governed cities. I just want to underscore that because that's really important to economic development. The country understands the cities that are well-governed and have a balanced budget and can get things to the goal line. They watch it, they talk about it, I hear about it. So it's great that we're considered a well-governed city with a solid budget as well. Next slide. But we all know what happened last year. As the deputy mayor said, COVID hit and the pandemic hit. We thought maybe a recession might hit at some point. And I want to underscore that is why we build a diverse and resilient economy. That's why we expand the people in our economy, and that's why we expand the industries in our economy so that we're deeper and we can withstand the bad times. But this one hit us, and it hit us hard. And it hit us in a different way. And I'm not going to list all of these trends, but we all got impacted by this. There's some good trends there. Some more people and more businesses are moving to Florida than ever before, escaping some of the other urban areas in the north and in the west. I'll also point out that the growth of e-commerce and the growth in logistics. I think Amazon has about 1.6 million square feet in the Tampa Bay area. Exposing inequalities, we certainly understand what happened there, the impacts on transportation. And the last one I'll point out is the cash holdings by companies. That's interesting because There is more cash holdings by our companies across the country than ever before. There's a 30% increase last year, $2.1 trillion they have in the bank. So we know that when this COVID, when we get this under control, things are going to take off. Next slide. Mayor Kreisman has been very clear about his 4 priorities for economic development. Focus on small businesses, focus on equity and workforce development, focus on building on our assets, don't look for something that's not there, and make sure that we're always planning for the future. And we have had all of these discussions with council on a regular basis to move these 4 themes forward. Next page. So the first theme is focus on small businesses. And as we all know, in St. Petersburg, our local small businesses is who we are. It is what makes us unique. It is what makes us special. So we want to talk a little bit about some indicators here. The U.S. Small Business did an analysis and basically indicated that about 42% of all employment in Florida comes from small businesses. And out of that, the National Academy of Sciences did a study that indicated about almost 40% of the unemployment that hit because of the pandemic was related to small businesses. Next slide. So when we look at the impact on employment, how many jobs have we lost because of the pandemic? That was the question we wanted to answer today. Well, it's very difficult to get to that. Well, we're still in the pandemic and we still need more time, but we were able to look at the statistics and come up with an analysis from the second quarter of last year to the first quarter of the second quarter of this year, or the second quarter of 2020, I'm sorry. So it was really the beginning of the pandemic. That's the latest number that we have, but we lost, you can see, about 3.5%. The statistics that I showed you in the last graph indicated about a 16% loss in Florida in small businesses. And we have about a 3.5% loss in small business employment. Now, we've got to keep our eye on that. We've got to, look at our numbers next year, which will bring more clarity to this, but it is an early indicator that maybe we did better than most. We certainly hope. Next page. And these are the industries that were hit the hardest. No surprise here: accommodation and food services, healthcare and social assistance. That's a fairly broad category, and retail. We all know that was hit the hardest based on the nature of the pandemic. Next slide. We can also look at the impact on our businesses directly, not on the employment of small businesses, but businesses itself. And we asked ourselves, how many businesses did we lose during the pandemic? Again, we have a condensed time frame here. We don't have the next year's number will be more comprehensive, but from 2019 to 2020, in terms of I believe that is the second quarter to the second quarter as well, we had a reduction in business tax receipts, and that was about a 3% reduction. Now, there's several reasons why companies sometimes submit the documentation for this and sometimes they don't, but we believe that this could be an indicator of some of the businesses that we lost. And that is pretty much in line with some of the national statistics that we've seen. Next slide. Just want to spend a second on this. You can see in the second quarter of 2020, the shortest bar on the graph to the far right, that's where we took a dip in terms of visitors. And you can see in the third quarter of 2020, it started coming back. Next slide. This is the economic impact of tourism and hospitality. Again, same thing. Look to the far right, second quarter of 2020. We took the drastic hit. You can see how far down that is from the first quarter, but then you can see it's starting to come back up in the third quarter. Next slide. This, I just wanted to spend a few minutes on because it shows the importance of resiliency and diversity in our economy. If we were just a hospitality-based economy, like maybe we were 5 or 10 years ago, or at least that was the primary engine for our economy, we would have been in a lot more trouble during the pandemic. As you can see on this slide, our grow smarter industries, marine and life sciences, specialized manufacturing, financial services, data analytics, they all have done very well over the last 4 or 5 years. They have grown in terms of employment, and we've seen that. I mean, Jabil expanding, Raymond James, Johns Hopkins. I mean, that's all great for our economy. The only one that hasn't is creative arts and design. That dipped a little bit. And then we said, well, wait, let's look at the difference between 19 and 20. And as you can see there, it was pretty stable. We did lose some jobs in marine and life sciences. Specialized manufacturing went up. No surprise there with Jabil and others. Financial services, Raymond James and others. Dynasty moving to St. Pete, that went up slightly. So basically across the board, our grow smarter industries either grew in the last year or stayed stable. Next slide. So why did I lead with the grow smarter industries into the Fighting Chance Fund? Very simple. JP LeBuc, who runs the EDC for the city and is a partner with the city in our economic development and workforce department, did a survey, called many of the companies that were in those grow smarter industries, and almost across the board, and we also talked to companies too through that early pandemic, they all said, look, we'll be okay, but please save what is unique to St. Pete and focus on the local small businesses, the restaurants, the retailers that are going to be hurt the most. And we saw that earlier, and do everything you can to preserve them. And the mayor jumped on that, and the mayor asked us almost immediately, the mayor and the deputy mayor almost immediately. I think we were the second city to get out into the marketplace with support, with a fund for small businesses. And this just shows that we had over 2,300 approvals. We worked very closely with the council on this. They gave us tremendous feedback, great oversight. We improved daily as we moved on. Jessica Eilerman and her team did a fantastic job implementing this. And we put on the street, way before the state or federal government did anything, $6.2 million. And one last thing on this slide, Jessica and her team did a survey after the fact, months after we put this money on the street. And we asked the question, how many companies closed, despite this help? About 1% did not make it from the survey. It's just a survey. And then we looked at a comparable survey that the US Census did on small businesses, and they had a closure rate of 1.6%. So it kind of lines up with what I was saying earlier. I think we did okay. We could have done a lot worse. Next slide. And the other thing that the mayor and the deputy mayor and the council were very clear about is make sure you intentionally disperse these resources throughout the city. So the map on the left is individuals who received checks from us, those that were unemployed because of the pandemic in the beginning. And the map on the right is businesses that received our assistance. And as you can see, they're scattered all over the city. Next slide. Okay, now here's the good part. I'm gonna close down here for a little bit. I'm gonna turn it over to Jessica, who is our small business expert, and runs the greenhouse with a fantastic team. Jessica?
Hi, I'm Jessica Eilerman, Mayor's Small Business Liaison and Greenhouse Manager, and I'm happy to be with you today at the State of the Economy. In response to the global pandemic and in an effort to spread the spike of the virus, a variety of government mandates were put in effect in March of 2020. Those, along with changing consumer habits due to health and safety mitigations, presented both challenges and confusion to our business community. The City of St. Petersburg and several of our partners in the community worked to provide an emergency response and assistance program for our business community. There were a variety of efforts that took place during this initial emergency response, some of which you have heard about today and others you have not. One of our primary tools for assistance was the Fighting Chance Fund. Now, earlier, you've heard the numbers and impacts about the Fighting Chance Fund, but what better way to understand why a program like this was so important to deploy than to hear about it from the recipients in their own words. So I'm very glad to be joined by two fantastic local businesses. Let me now introduce Vivia Barron Folk Art. She is a home-based business here in St. Petersburg and an artist. You can find out more about Vivia and her art at her website, viviabarron.com. Welcome, Vivia.
Hi, thank you for having me.
And I'm also pleased to introduce Tazo of German Noodle, which is a restaurant located in our Edge District, located at 951 Central Avenue. You can find out more about the German Noodle by visiting their website, germannoodle.com. Tazo, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me too.
So I want to kind of start our discussion today from your words about how did, when COVID and the pandemic and the changes started, tell me about how that impacted your business. What did you experience? Vivia, could you start for us?
Absolutely. Well, let me start by saying, for me, 2019 was an awesome year. It was probably one of the best years I've had, over the 10 years I've been, working and for myself. It was a wonderful year. It was so great that I actually built out my studio. I extended my studio. I had a lot of plans for 2020 and boom, COVID hit and everything just stopped. Mm-hmm. It was extremely scary. I was watching all of my, resources, all of my savings just dwindling and going and nothing coming back in. It's like my whole plan and dream for my future was just gone in a flash of an eye.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Tazo, what did you experience at German Noodle?
With the German Noodle in the beginning of the year, it was dropping down abruptly more than 70 to 80% of the business we had before. But thanks to our customers, thanks to our neighbors, thanks to all people around, they realized and they start coming back to us. And already in April, May, we were going up again.
Oh, good.
It was a very difficult time, and I was feeling that the people who are around us, neighbors, and even from Sarasota, they were coming from Tampa in order to help business going up.
Thank you for sharing that. When the Fighting Chance Fund was announced and you decided to make an application into the program, can you just tell us about what that experience was like to apply and the communication, and then when you ultimately received your approval notice?
For me, it was very important because at that time, with less customers, income was less. Mm-hmm. And the help, what we needed from city, it was an application, it was a very simple application. And we got it found from city was very, very helpful because in these circumstances, when we are without enough money, we had to take money from the pocket. With the discount, what we got it, we didn't do that. And we were going slowly every day up and up. Thanks to that money, we paid the rent, we paid the vendors, and everything was more easier.
Thank you. And Vivia, you are a home-based business, so your experience is slightly different than a traditional storefront. So tell us about the process and how it helped you.
Yes. Like I said before, I had a lot of plans and everything stopped. I was doing extremely well, selling a lot of art, even outside of the United States. I was selling to the Caribbean and even to England. I was doing really well. And so when it happened, everything stopped. Zero sales from January, actually February on. And I saw the Fighting Chance Fund on TV and on the radio, but I was thinking, well, I'm self-employed and I work from home. I didn't even think I would have a chance. So I didn't apply for a long time. And as it got worse and it got scarier and all my resources were just dwindling, I said, you know what, let me try, because I'm a business, I'm in St. Petersburg. I mean, I'm small, but why not try? And I tried, I reached out and I spoke to Sarah, and she said, go ahead and apply. You're totally fine. It applies to you as well. I filled out the application and I got frustrated because, I'm a small business. I'm one person and all the paperwork together. And Sarah really helped me. The greenhouse, I can't tell you how much the greenhouse and Sarah and it's been such an amazing source of support. Knowing that you guys were there and available to walk us through. My experience is that you helped me to fill out the application from beginning to end and make sure everything was okay right up until I got that check in the mail. So, it was just, I really appreciate it. It made a big difference because I was able to continue to produce art, a little bit of, take a sigh or a breath of fresh air and not be worrying so much.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that, because it is a scary experience and so much is uncertain. So we're really happy to hear that it was a good experience for you. I do have just two more brief questions. Outside of the financial relief from Fighting Chance, can you share what else has helped you or other supports that you have found during the pandemic here in St. Petersburg? And Tazo, I'll ask you to start.
Yeah, of course. Besides the city and greenhouse, what was very, very helpful, we had a lot of friends who were coming. One of them was like Steven Todorich, who was coming, helping us for a free. And he was helping cleaning, buying stuff and everything else. Also, the city did great job giving us parking lot to put tables outside because people didn't want to come in. They were with the mask, but they were feeling better outside. And also, really neighbors across the street, down south, north, west, all people were coming, telling we are coming just to support, to survive this situation. But St. Pete, thanks to the mayor, thanks to you, Greenhouse, we were surviving because you were more flexible in order to help all these small businesses. It was wonderful, really, and thank you very much for all this help, what you did it for us.
Thank you, Tazo, and I love the examples you're providing of how the community is supporting and coming together to support your business. So thank you for sharing that. Vivia, can you tell us from your experience anything else that outside of the financial relief that helped you during this time?
I have to say, this experience is you feel so isolated. Because I work from home and most of my business is done on the internet. I normally am not that involved, or, I haven't really made a connection. But what happened from working with the greenhouse is that made so many other connections because you provided all these leads for me. As a matter of fact, I just got an email from Sarah about something that's going on at the Art Alliance. So during this very horrific experience, I have actually met other people and made other connections. So it's out of just doing work on the computer, and now I'm actually involved in the community, meeting people and working with other artists and joining groups. It's been a wonderful experience other than the financial, the support, knowing you're not alone. We're here, everybody understand, and we're trying to help each other through that. So it was a great source of support, knowing that I'm not alone. And even the phone call to Sarah, you have no idea when I got off the phone call and, she said, listen, we understand and we're here to help you. Just talking to you guys on the phone helped me because I didn't feel isolated and alone, and I made the connection. So that was great for me.
Thank you very much. And that is, it's community and connection, and that's really what we're trying to do here in St. Pete. So thank you for sharing that. One last thing before we wrap up, and I just would love to know from your perspective, what is the one thing you would love to share with the community today about supporting businesses during this challenging time?
For me, people are really very important, and everything depends on them. People can understand the situation and how it's so difficult, and they are willing to come and to help. I have guys who are coming, instead of to give like $3, $5, they were giving tip of $20, $25. They know this is a little bit money, but it's going to help to survive this situation. And we managed to survive. Now we are going up, and we are every day better and better, believe me. And people are more happy with the food because food didn't change the taste, the quantity, quality, everything as it was before.
Thank you. Vivia, any last comments about what the community can do to help our businesses during this time?
I would say, just go, support as much as you can. And, if you have to wear a mask, if the business requires you to wear a mask, wear a mask. Just help each other out and continue, because St. Petersburg, there's always been a sense of community and a sense of belonging and people helping each other. And now more so than ever, that is needed. And I honestly genuinely feel it. And, it's important for us all of us to support each other and, support our restaurants or buy a piece of art, shop in our local boutiques, don't buy online, buy local, all those things, just small things, just to keep our resources here so that we can keep each other going in that, so that's what I think in terms of supporting each other.
Thank you very much. We're just about out of time, so I want to thank Tazo and Vivia for joining us today. Thanks for everyone who's joining us for State of the Economy, and now back to the program.
Jessica, thank you very much, and your guests were fantastic. Good information for all of us. And again, I think it reflects the importance of a diverse and resilient economy is about people. Now we go to our next category, which is equity and workforce development. And clearly with the George Floyd incident and with the pandemic, this has come front and center, but it's not a new issue for this mayor. This mayor has been talking about these issues ever since he came into office. But just a couple of national statistics. Basically, as you read that, the first bullet is basically saying diversity drives innovation and increases revenues for companies. And number two, diversity drives a higher rate of success if you have a diverse investment team. We're gonna talk more about that. We got a panel that's going to talk more about that in a few minutes. Next slide. What we tried to do for the last 3.5 years is recognizing that issue. We've been trying to assist companies to build diversity. And one way to do that is to hire residents from the CRA or from South St. Pete. And over the last 3.5 years, 461 individuals have been hired through this program. We're very proud of that. That's about 131 people a year. And the council just approved that for another 3 years, with St. Pete College being the lead. We're very happy about that. Next slide. Disparity is an issue. There's been some studies done already. Stanford University indicated a 41% decrease in African-American businesses versus a 17% decrease in white businesses. And that's since the pandemic hit. The New York Times indicated that 75% of the loans in the Paycheck Protection Program went to white majority census tracts. And in the right-hand column, pretty interesting statistics here. Wired.com indicated that 77% of venture-backed founders were white. This is over about a 5-year period, versus 1% of venture capital-backed funders. These are entities that fund companies, and primarily small businesses, were Black-owned. And less than 1.3% of the $69 trillion in global assets that are managed, only 1.3% are managed by women and people of color. So we have some work to do nationally, and let's talk about how that impacts St. Pete. Next slide. Bringing equity to the city of opportunity. We've been working on several initiatives here in St. Pete. Deuces Rising, that plan for the 22nd Street South corridor is critical to equity. It's not just about making something happen, but it's about making something happen from within the community. The St. Pete Pier, mayor and deputy mayor, we went out of our way to make sure that the marketplace was diverse and represented the city across the board, and South St. Pete in particular. We've been working hard on the community benefits agreement. That is coming, and it's going to be before council soon. St. Pete Works, I've talked about. Tropicana Field, I just wanted to mention, we're going to talk about this a little bit more later, but that RFP that we put out really is a blueprint in terms of making sure equity is represented in a project. And of course, there is nothing more important than equity on that project in particular because of the history. And then the programs of urban affairs and the Office of Sustainability and Resiliency. Next slide. I just want to hit on this quickly. The taxable value in South St. Pete is significantly up over the years. Look at that. Look at how, I mean, that's the trend that we're looking for right there. When we do this every year, that's what we want to see. That the trend building, getting stronger every year. That's about creating wealth. Next slide. The African American median household income growth has been significant versus our peers. You can see that we're at about 28% growth over a 5-year period. That's better than the MSA, that's better than Tampa, and that's better than Durham. I was really happy to see that. That's my old stomping grounds. And, you know, we usually don't beat Durham, so it's nice to see that. Next slide. Poverty rate in St. Pete is very low compared to our peers. Now, it spiked with the pandemic, and there's no rest for the weary. We got a lot of work to do, but look at that compared to everybody else. Next slide. The poverty rate change over the last 5 years is the best amongst our peers. Again, it is better than Tampa, better than the United States, and better than Durham. Next slide. The African American poverty rate change over the last 5 years, and the One Community has been focused on this for many years, as so is the city and this administration, and clearly the council. Look at that change factor against our peers. Significant movement in poverty. This is a major takeaway in this event today, in my opinion. Next slide. So this is one of the most significant slides, I think, in the presentation, and this wasn't done by us. This was done by the One Community. I thank Gypsy Gallardo for that. You can see the gap in the poverty rate back in 2014 between Black and white was 23%. The gap today in 2019 is 8%. So significant progress has been made in lowering that gap between white and Black. Very happy to see that, and I know a lot of us have been working hard on that. All of our partners, Grow Smarter strategy, the foundation, the Healthy St. Pete Foundation. All of us have been working hard on that. Next slide. So let me turn it over to Nikki Capehart, who has talked to some experts in this area to explain in greater detail equity and workforce development. Nikki?
Thank you for joining us for the State of Economy panel discussion focused on equity, workforce, and community development. My name is Nikki Gaskin Capehart, and I'm the Director of Urban Affairs for the City of St. Petersburg. We have 4 outstanding experts joining us for this panel discussion today. They are Ms. Gwendolyn Reese, President of the African American Heritage Association of St. Petersburg, Tamara Felton Howard, attorney with Felton Howard Law and also co-chair of the One Community CBA Policy Task Force, Gypsy Gallardo, CEO, the 2020 Plan and One Community, and Michael Ramsey, Dean of Workforce Development, Community and Corporate Partnerships for St. Petersburg College. Thank you for joining us today, panelists. We're going to go ahead and get started with Ms. Gwen about the Bloomberg-Harvard collaboration that she's a member of and has been working hard to obtain insight from those with lived experience in the gas plant neighborhood. Ms. Gwen, would you please summarize the significance to the state of our current and future economy of the city and community coming together to work on the equitable redevelopment of the Tropicana field site?
Good morning to my fellow panelists, and it's just such a pleasure to be here with you today. As a community person, Nikki, I think that what is so significant, and I'm going to venture to say historical, is that we are inviting to the table those who usually in the past have been excluded. So when we talk about equity, we can't have equity without inclusivity. And in the past, there have been segments of the community, particularly the African American community, who've been excluded from the process. So not just the Bloomberg-Harvard initiative, but the mayor and city administration has been emphasizing the importance of collaboration and bringing the city, the business community, and the general community together. I think that's very significant, and doing this around the redevelopment of Tropicana Field makes it even more significant because of the history of that area.
Thank you so much, Ms. Gwen. And I'll go over now to attorney Tamara Felton Howard. So there's a CBA that we know a lot of people in the community are very excited to see come to fruition. So Attorney Howard, let's start with what is a CBA and what are the most important outcomes that the community should expect to see once a CBA is in place and functional?
So community benefit agreements are, they were created initially in the late 1990s as it's an agreement negotiated between community groups and a real estate developer that provides for community benefits in conjunction or connection with the development of a covered project. So here in St. Petersburg, there is an ordinance that if approved will require developers of certain projects to engage with the city in conjunction with the neighborhood advisory council to provide community benefits. Some of the outcomes that we expect to come from the CBA policy are things like streetscape improvements, employment of local residents, apprenticeship, training, requiring SBE, MBE participation on the project, creating a CBA fund to be used for things like affordable housing, workforce housing, historic building renovation. So we really expect to get quite a few benefits from this CBA policy.
Thank you. And this is a perfect segue into my next question for Gypsy Gallardo, because we know that so much of the work with the CBA connects to the work that 2020 Plan and One Community is doing. So with that, Gypsy, would you please describe the impact both quantitative and qualitative, that one community and its partners are having on the lives of Black people in St. Petersburg as we recover from this major economic loss around COVID-19?
Oh my goodness, that's a big question. And thanks so much for the invitation to this, Nikki. I think the one thing that we'll spend the next year or so communicating to folks is how epic our work has been over the past 7 years. It's not widely publicized. It's a little known fact that the African-American poverty rate has been cut in half in St. Petersburg over the past 5 years of census data measured. That is something that has many root causes, in addition to, and I should mention, that we are pacing ahead of the rest of Florida and the nation. So nationwide, we see African-American poverty subsiding incrementally year after year, but here in St. Pete, we are far outpacing that rate that we see across the rest of Florida and the nation. And there's a reason for that. And I think it's up to us to really share, not only locally, with the partners whose energy, whose commitment, whose investments, whose innovations help to feed that result, but to also share that with other cities so that all of those economic development staffs who are grappling with how you approach the vision or goal of economic equity can look to St. Pete for the collective impact approach that we took beginning way back when, which you, Nikki, which Gwen was a part of, which Tamara is now a part of, to move that needle in a way that we're not seeing elsewhere across the nation.
Thank you so much for that. And one of the ways that we've been able to achieve that is how I'll bring Dean Ramsey into the conversation about St. Pete Works and the CRA. And we know that St. Pete College will work with partners and CRA residents, but we want to know specifically how you look at that collaborative coming together to achieve the goals intended for the CRA workforce development investment.
Thank you, Nikki. Happy to be with everybody this morning.
Thank you.
St. Pete Works is a phenomenal collaborative that has been doing great work since its inception in 2017. It is a grassroots effort that has been led by community partners such as Pinellas Ex-Offender Reentry Coalition, Pinellas County Urban League, Pinellas Opportunity Council, Mount Zion Human Services, as well as the college being involved along with Pinellas Technical College from the start to ensure that residents of the South St. Pete CRA have access to training programs and the wraparound services that are needed to help them to overcome barriers that would impede them from achieving economic mobility here in the region. So one of the things that I'm most proud of with St. Pete Works is that it is truly focused on meeting the individuals where they are. If individuals have not achieved their high school diploma, it has plans in place to help them to get their GEDs or their diploma as they progress and train simultaneously to ensure that they've got the skills that are in demand in the Tampa Bay area. It's joint partnership and alignment with the St. Pete Chamber and the Grow Smarter initiative, I think is one of the reasons why the program is so effective, is because that the training programs are aligned to the jobs that can actually lead to a living wage for the participants in that CRA, which the ultimate goal is to change their economic situation. So what St. Pete College plans to do is to help to continue to lead St. Pete Works in that direction to make sure that the impact is felt and that needle is moved and the actual lives of the people that need it the most are receiving the care and the benefit and the training they need to change their economic situation.
Thank you for that. And that's perfect because the cross-boundary collaboration that we've worked with Bloomberg Harvard on, I want to go back to Ms. Gwen and ask her to share some of the nuggets that we learned in New York, specifically about working together in collaborations.
You know, Nikki, that was an incredible experience. And it was just about a year ago that we were in New York, pre-COVID, although COVID was there. We didn't know it. Unfortunately, we came home without it. But we had many memorable moments. But the one that stands out most for me, and I cannot remember the name of the exercise, was the one that taught us the importance of including those who are in opposition to our work. So we frequently look at stakeholders and those who are going to support us, but this process we went through and we mapped it all out, and we named the organizations who are with us from the beginning, those that may take a little bit of work and massaging and conversations, and we actually started identifying those that we knew at that point would be in opposition. And the purpose of that exercise was to help us realize that we cannot develop a plan that is going to be inclusive and beneficial to everyone if we've not listened and included those who are against the plan from the beginning. So it talked about bringing them in and talking to them and including them and looking at their reasons for being in opposition and addressing those. We had planned to come back and continue to name these organizations and work through that process. And of course, COVID sort of stopped us from being able to do that in a hands-on way. But I learned so much from that particular process that I've been able to use in other projects and programs that I'm working with. Frequently, we don't want to talk to the people that are in opposition. We don't want to include them. We put them over there and we leave them over there. But this exercise said, no, bring them in. You cannot do a good job that's going to be accepted, embraced, supported, unless you've included those people who are absolutely against what you're doing.
I absolutely agree. And I think that is perfect as we round out our conversation with me going to Gypsy to talk about how important that type of collaboration and bringing everyone to the table has been with one community in developing the Deuces Rising and Sankofa project, which really is a perfect representation of the work of switching from poverty reduction to economic growth. So Gypsy, if you would please close us out in talking about that and how that manifestation has come together.
Thank you, Nikki. So we were blessed here in St. Petersburg to have the support of over 100 organizations who contributed to that poverty reduction goal. There's no question that the city of St. Pete was an anchor partner and funder to that initiative. But as we approach the year 2020, and our goal was to reduce African-American poverty by 30% by the year 2020, as we approached that year, there was an interest and a hunger for what next? For how do we continue? The poverty level that the federal government measures is a really small, not livable income for any family, for an individual or a family. So we can be proud that we have reduced the African-American poverty rate through all of our combined efforts across all of our educational institutions and our major community organizations and government agencies. But that is not the end of the quest for economic equity. And so the initiative currently called the One Community Plan has taken the next leg of that journey. So we switched from 7-year focus on poverty reduction to now a 10-year focus on economic growth. And sort of the way that we describe it to folks is that we are working to grow the paychecks, bank accounts, and balance sheets of African Americans in St. Petersburg. The Sankofa project, which will be a mixed income, mixed use project located in a strategic position along the Deuces, is meant to embody so many of the concepts that are encased within the One Community Plan. The plan is built around 10 big ideas to transform the economy of South St. Petersburg. And that one project called the Sankofa Vision Project happens to bring to life about 8 of those concepts, including catalyzing development along the historic Deuces corridor, giving credit to Gwen Reese, if I may. She is the one who gave us that concept of Sankofa. And in a nutshell, Nikki, that means looking back to the past while also planning for the future. And in the St. Petersburg context, that means overcoming the mistakes of the past when it came to commercial revitalization in our community, looking back to the best examples of the past, the vibrancy, the mixed income nature of the folks who used to live there, the presence of Black-owned businesses, and commerce and entertainment and institutional life that used to thrive on the Deuces, bringing all that forward into the future through the innovative approaches that the city and our organizations are working together to bring to life here in St. Petersburg.
Thank you so much, Gypsy. And it really does speak to our city's vision also, which talks about honoring our past as we pursue our future. So thank you again so much to all of our panelists today. We really are excited about where we're going. And again, I want to thank you for joining us for this panel discussion. And with that, I'll turn it back over to our moderator.
Nikki, thank you very much. What an incredible panel, inspirational. Let's go on to the next slide. Okay, so now we're going to hit on our third theme, which is building on our assets, making sure that we're taking advantage of our strengths. Next slide. We certainly have a number of strengths, and we've been getting great promotional information, studies that show us progressing wonderfully. I love the first one, best city in Florida for job seekers in 2021. Further down the list, you got to love the number 2 in the top 10 cities to celebrate LGBT pride. Again, making sure that our economy is wide and broad. Number 6 best place for female entrepreneurs. Again, we were number 12 most responsive local government. Nice to hear those accolades. Next. Taxable value in St. Petersburg, the trend again is all going in the right direction. Every year we have increased our taxable value and our percentage of that taxable value in Pinellas County. We now, St. Petersburg, the city of St. Petersburg now represents almost 25% of all taxable value in the county. Next slide. Population growth is critical to economic development growth, but it is not wild growth. As you can see, we're steady growth over the last 5 years, about a 3.2% increase. But look at Durham. Durham is 8.5%, and Tampa is at 8.3%. So we do not have wild growth. We have growth, but it's steady. Next. Educational attainment. This is an important slide. I do want to highlight this because this is a change. As we've been looking at this over the last 6 years, there's been a steady increase. This shows three of those years. And in high school graduation rates, set from 2017 to 2019, about a 2% increase. In BA and BS degrees, about a 5% increase over those 3 years. In BA and BS degrees for the younger generation, 25 to 34, about a 4.2% increase. And in a graduate degree, about a 2.4% increase. So we are having more of our residents who have higher degrees, and that then attracts more businesses and more business expansion, because businesses are always looking for talent to work in their companies to grow revenue and grow productivity. Next slide. Medium household income for the city has been on a steady increase as well. A lot of that has been our focus on the grow smarter industries. As you can see there, once again, we're higher than Durham, we're higher than the MSA, and we're higher than the United States. About a 26% growth over the last 5 years, just outstanding. Next slide. Well, there's nothing more that epitomizes or symbolizes building on our assets than the pier. And I want to thank everybody that is listening for their involvement over the years. Very small, very simple project, you know, didn't take us any time at all to pull this off, but we did. And Mayor Kreisman did that. Mayor, thank you for just keeping us focused and keeping our execution sharp. We were voted number 2 in the USA for the 10 best new attractions in 2020. We think we should have been number 1, but number 2 is not bad. We think that the attendance rate that we projected at 1.7 million is going to be much higher than that in our early couple of months of operations. We think it could be almost double that. And maybe more importantly, we spent $93 million on this project, but the way to really look at it is what's the return on that investment? And we think that that return on investment, which was projected to be about 80 million in the first year, could also be double that in the first year alone, which means you're making your money back and then some. So a profound impact. That's how we view a good result in an economic development project. Having said that, let me turn it over to Juniper Duffin, who is with Colliers, who is managing our pier, and we'll go to that video.
Hi, I'm Juniper Duffin, property manager for the St. Pete Pier. In July, we opened the pier to the public, and for the past 6 months, we have welcomed residents and visitors alike. Already, our pier has received national recognition, earning 2nd place in USA Today's Best New Attraction National Poll, also several national and regional design awards. If you haven't already visited the pier, here are a few highlights of what you can expect. The entrance to the pier includes 17 marketplace tenants featuring jewelry, artwork, prepackaged foods, and clothing. The marketplace is focused on local vendors like One Pier, a collective of 9 local African-American entrepreneurs. The marketplace is open Friday through Sunday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. The 26-acre Pier District has been a great place for families to come and enjoy our wonderful weather, spending time on the playground, splash pad, fishing deck, beach, visiting the Discovery Center, Museum of History, or eating at one of the top 5 restaurants. Even with COVID safety top of mind, we've been able to manage this great waterfront venue safely, given it is primarily outdoors. The installation of the Benoit Monument, representing the first worldwide commercial flight, was completed the end of this year. It is a great addition to the existing 4 public art installations on the district, like the Bending Arc Net Sculpture. Our goal is to create a place where all feel welcome and there's an activity for everyone to enjoy. Last year, we hosted almost 50 safe events for people of all ages and are looking forward to even more this year. We hope to see you soon out on the Pier District. And now to talk a little bit about what to expect in the coming year, here's Chris Palestra.
2021 provides many new opportunities for this reimagined St. Pete Pier. 100% of the pier is open for business, with great outdoor space and dining continuing into the new year. This year we'll be focused on outdoor activities and continuing to provide fresh experiences to all visitors. In 2021, visitors can expect to see a couple of new offerings at the pier. We're seeking to add at least 5 new local marketplace tenants in the first half of 2021. Additionally, the formal dedication of the first flight Benoit replica is scheduled for February. The Museum of History is looking to begin its 8,000 square foot renovations in 2021. The museum will remain open throughout and provide a new visitor center as well. The installation of courtesy boat dock slips is scheduled to begin in February and complete by end of February, providing another fun way to access the pier by water. We continue to focus on healthy St. Pete events and the pier, including many different fitness activities, all socially distanced, providing a safe environment for everybody in the community. The pier as an economic engine is strong and continues to grow. In the pier's first 6 months, we estimate that we've already exceeded our original annual attendance projections. All aspects of the pier performing beyond expectations, and the pier is not only a strong visitor draw, but is now fulfilling the objectives established by the community. Whether you join us with family, on a date, with your kids, or as a visitor to the Sunshine City, we look forward to seeing you in 2021 at the St. Pete Pier.
Thank you, Juniper. Thank you, Chris. I want to thank Chris and his team for doing a great job on the project management, and also the engineering department and public works. That was a team effort, and thank you for all that work. Next slide. So I'm just going to hit on these very quickly, but clearly we have many assets in the city that drive our economy. The Innovation District is one of them. Allison Barlow does a fantastic job managing that. And look at that middle number, 65% of the 4-year degree workers in that district have a doctorate degree. So that kind of goes back to that educational attainment slide that I showed you earlier. Next slide. And we all know that downtown is a tremendous asset. We are continuing to open it up, create more opportunities for all the residents of St. Pete. But the residential development, the hotel development, the entertainment development that occurs in downtown St. Pete, the walkability, it is one of the best, not only in the state, but in the country. Next. Deuces Rising, working very hard on Deuces Rising. It's been mentioned in the past. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, just to say that the city is continuing to work on Tangerine Plaza. We're negotiating with the development team now. The Manhattan Casino is being refreshed and will be revived and open soon. Gypsy mentioned Sankofa. We're negotiating that project, and Rob Gertis is working very hard on that piece and doing a great job. And we will put a shovel in the ground for streetscape improvements that were approved by council a while back for Deuces Live and the Warehouse Arts District. Millions of dollars worth of improvements along that streetscape. We're excited about that. Next slide. Transportation and mobility. I mean, the mayor is going to talk about this in a few minutes on a video. So I won't spend too much time on it, but just suffice it to say that Evan Morey and the team, his team, they have put a lot of time and effort working with our partners, all of our partners in the transportation field, to create these additional mobility opportunities, which drives the economy as well. And of course, nothing drives it more than complete streets. So I want to thank Evan for his leadership and vision in that area. Next. Let me now turn it over to a tremendous young talent in economic development, Brian Caper, who is our project manager for the Tropicana Field project, just a small little project that we got coming up. And I'm going to turn it over to Brian to talk a little bit more about it.
Thank you very much, Alan. The Tropicana Field site is an 86-acre development site located in the heart of downtown St. Petersburg and represents one of the best development opportunities in the United States. In 2016, the city of St. Petersburg began the process to reimagine the site by leading a conceptual master planning effort that imagined 2 scenarios: redevelopment of the site with a baseball stadium and redevelopment of the site without a stadium. These planning efforts involved a significant amount of stakeholder input, spanning over 20 community meetings, stakeholder workshops, and city council committee meetings. The completed conceptual plans incorporated a wide range of land uses, such as mixed income housing, research and education, hotel and conference space, and new parkland, just to name a few. On July 15th, 2020, the city released a request for proposals for the development of the site from private developers or development teams that were interested in working in an equitable public-private collaboration with the city. The document was anchored by two key sections, the first being 21 guiding principles for redevelopment, which highlighted key development themes such as providing opportunities for economic equity and inclusion, and making Booker Creek and the Pinellas Trail central features for development. The second section was development elements to be addressed by proposers, which contained more specific information on how the site should include a variety of land uses, integrate and enhance the transportation network, and incorporate elements from a significant number of city plans and initiatives. Next slide, please. Thank you, Chan. The RFP closed on January 15th, 2021, and the city received 7 qualified proposals. While these firms may be based in other cities and regions, many of them include a significant number of local partners within their development team. The 7 firms are Midtown Development from Miami, Florida, Portman Holdings and Third Lake Partners from Atlanta, Georgia and Tampa, SROA, Holabird Root and Argo from West Palm Beach, Sugar Hill Community Partners and JMA Ventures from San Francisco, California, TRS Development Services from Tampa, Unicorp National Development from Orlando, and Wendover Housing Partners from Altamont Springs. The proposals are available to view on our website at www.stpete.org/trop, and it includes a comment form for your feedback on these proposals. Next slide, please. The average construction value of these proposals is $1.85 billion, and they create an average of 13,500 construction and permanent jobs. All proposals feature a mix of affordable, workforce, and market rate housing. They all activate Booker Creek and add new green space and parkland. Finally, they all reconnect the grid system through the site and tie the site into the surrounding community. The city is currently reviewing these 7 proposals for strengths and weaknesses against the criteria contained within the RFP. These strengths and weaknesses will be presented to the mayor for his consideration as he looks to shortlist the firms. Once shortlisted, the city will seek additional public and stakeholder input. Information on these meetings will be posted to our website as details are made available. Following the community input and additional staff review, the mayor will select the top firm and the city will start negotiations on a term sheet and development agreement. Please stay tuned to our website for additional information as it becomes available. Alan, back to you.
Thanks, Brian. Brian, you should have that done by tomorrow, I would imagine.
We'll get right on it.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you for all your work. And Sophia Sorolis has done a fantastic job on this as well. I want to acknowledge her leadership and efforts on this project. Okay, the next video is important. It is about our Dave Goodwin Award that we do every year. This is the third time that we're doing this. And let me just sum up what this is about. Dave Goodwin worked for the city for over 30 years, was a tremendous professional, ran the economic development and planning department. And Dave had an incredible skill set of being able to bridge the private and public sector. He knew how to speak both languages. He knew how to manage it so that growth could occur, jobs could be created, but in a quality way that protected the community. So having said that, this award is modeled after that and in honor of Dave's lifetime achievement, and I'll turn it over to the video.
Don Mastery is going to be coming. So in just a few minutes, Don Mastery is going to be coming in the room here. Don thinks that what we're about to do is just to talk about the history of economic development in St. Petersburg. But what's going to happen is he's going to be a little bit surprised because we're going to be informing him of the fact that he is this year's recipient of the Dave Goodwin Lifetime Achievement Award, and should be a lot of fun, should be pretty cool. So, all right.
Hey, Don. Hey, Don.
Welcome. Since we can't,
nice to see you.
We can't shake hands, we can do the elbow bump.
I don't get to see David enough. He hides over there.
We asked you, and appreciate you making the time for us today. We asked you to come here as we're doing the state of the economy and to talk about the past and the present and the future of economic development in the city because you've been so involved in it. But quite frankly, that's not really why we asked you to be here today. We kind of duped you. A couple of years ago when we started doing this, we created an award which we felt was really important to recognize someone in the community who has had a profound impact on the city of St. Petersburg, on economic development in the city of St. Petersburg, and on growth in the city of St. Petersburg. And Don Mastry, we have selected you to be the recipient of that award this year. And that's actually why you're here.
Well, that's kind of shocking. That's what I was going to say. But thank you. I appreciate it. It may not be as deserving. I have to give credit to my clients. I have had some unbelievable clients that have bettered this city. And I've just been lucky to represent them. Believe it or not, I've been here since 1940 now. It's scary. And I loved growing up here. It was a great city. And I was a cheerleader for the city when people laughed at me for being that way.
I think you've made our entire administration better, and you've certainly made the city better, and are incredibly deserving of this recognition and awards. And again, congratulations to you.
Well, thank you. Well, if I deserve it, but I appreciate it, and I thank you. And it's been a pleasure working with the people at the city.
Nobody more well-deserving than Don for this award. So we're so honored to have him and all the projects that he's worked on, and he's always been so professional negotiating with the city. Next slide. Okay, I'm going to go through this pretty quickly. Planning for the future is the last theme. Next slide. You all know that Liz Abernathy and her team have been doing an unbelievable job reaching out to the community, writing this plan, incorporating community input, making sure, working closely with the council. These are the 10 theme areas that are contained in that report. And we are going to go to the video because 3 people are going to talk about 3 important areas of this plan. Rob Gertis related to affordable housing, then the deputy mayor about healthy St. Pete, and then the mayor about transportation.
Hello, I'm Rob Gertis, the city's neighborhood affairs administrator. We all know it's been a difficult year, but we are going to move forward together and keep improving our St. Petersburg economy. A key component of our future success is providing housing opportunities across a spectrum of incomes, especially for our workforce. Affordable and workforce housing goes hand in hand with job growth and business expansion. As we grow smarter, we must also provide affordable housing options. This past year, the city initiated a new 10-year plan to increase the supply of housing that is affordable at a range of income levels. The plan also provides more opportunity for home ownership and assistance for existing homeowners with repairs and other improvements. To increase the supply of housing that is affordable, the city plans to incentivize the construction of 2,400 multifamily units in developments like this one, with rents based on household income. We've also made changes to our land development regulations to increase the supply of housing in appropriate locations, reduced parking requirements near transit to make construction less costly, and we've made it easier to build accessory dwelling units. Home ownership is an important opportunity for many families. The city's plan assists developers with funding and land to produce more affordable single-family homes. It also increases available funding for home buyers through down payment assistance. Many households in St. Petersburg are already homeowners, but due to fixed income, the impacts of COVID-19, or other financial hardships, these homeowners may not be able to afford needed repairs. Our 10-year plan increases assistance to existing homeowners to help them stay in their home for years to come. Overall, the city's 10-year plan could impact 7,000 households and approximately 19,000 of our neighbors across the city. In addition, our St. Pete 2050 plan has identified attainable housing as a major community theme, and related St. Pete 2050 policies will help guide our plans for decades to come. We are continuously making positive strides for housing opportunity, and we are excited to implement the city's housing plan. Together, we can create a city that offers diverse housing options to all our residents, which will also strengthen our economic opportunities.
Hi, St. Pete. I'm Deputy Mayor and City Administrator Kanika Tomlin. Among my many responsibilities, oversight of Healthy St. Pete and our city's commitment to operate and sustain a culture of health sits right at the top. It's been an unprecedented year in this regard. We've pivoted our focus providing critical support for the COVID-19 health crisis because now more than ever we recognize that the health of our community is a vital part of our collective success. We will only reach our goals as a city now and in the future if we are a healthy city. So the most critical mission of Healthy St. Pete remains the same. The healthy choice will be the easy choice. Now let's talk about how that translates to St. Pete 2050 and how you can be a part of our mission. Our first and most important step is that we must address the social determinants of health through 4 areas of impact: educational programs, healthy behaviors, community engagement, and health in all policies. The city offers many free programs and events to engage our diverse residents, and it's always great to see you and your families safely getting fit the St. Pete way. We also have many community partnerships with businesses and neighborhood associations that examine policies and structures through a health promotion and prevention lens. Please reach out to us to set up a future consultation with one of our Healthy St. Pete staff if that interests you. Some of the hardest, most impactful work we can do is implement policy and systems changes, like our healthy procurement and vending policy at city facilities. We have Fresh Rec healthy vending services at recreation facilities, and other health in all policies programs that embed health in every one of our organizational planning processes. As we continue to plan St. Pete's generational projects, like the recently completed St. Pete Pier District and the upcoming redevelopment of the Tropicana field site, health will remain at the forefront of our discussions. So please, St. Pete, join me as we collectively move forward toward a healthier tomorrow and a healthy 2050.
Hi, I'm St. Pete Mayor Rick Kreisman. If you know me, you know my passion for innovation and transportation. More specifically, the future of transportation. In the absence of true mass transit in our state and region, we have done our best to make St. Pete a leader in options like bus rapid transit, micromobility, water transit, and even autonomous vehicles. We have a lot to be proud of and a lot to look forward to. First, construction has started on the Sunrunner bus rapid transit line, the first true BRT in the region, to connect downtown St. Pete with the beaches and all the neighborhoods and districts along the Central Avenue corridor. This also includes safety improvements for sidewalk connections to the BRT stations, sunshine branded buses, and unique artistic shelters that will help to showcase our city of the arts. Bike share and scooters have proven to be a popular option for both residents and visitors. In fact, there have already been more than 20,000 rides on our new scooters. And what I really appreciate about both bike and our scooters is they're not just serving our traditional downtown core. People are utilizing them from the Innovation District to the historic Deuces and everywhere in between. Establishing a Cross Bay Ferry was a priority of mine since day one, and ridership is strong, and the future is bright. It is my hope that ferries will now forever connect St. Pete and Tampa. There's simply no reason why we shouldn't continue to take advantage of the water of Tampa Bay. In 2020, we joined with our partners at PSTA in introducing AVA, a pilot project to provide an all-electric, autonomously driven transit shuttle along our beautiful waterfront. And that too has proven to be popular. Whether it's transportation options or complete streets, we're committed to providing access to vulnerable populations, to reaching every corner of the Sunshine City. Good, quality, efficient transportation isn't just about quality of life, it's about economic development. It's about jobs. And we've made tremendous strides. I'm convinced that with additional focus, hard work, and resources, St. Pete and all of Tampa Bay can become a national or global model for how to move around a community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, everybody, for those videos. Next slide, Chan. So as Chan pulls up that next slide, we're going to bring this to a close. I want to thank everybody for their patience. Hopefully, you'll use this information all year long. Use it to bring more jobs. Use it to convince more people to come to St. Pete. Just wanted to mention that in the 2050 plan, we've done some demographic information. Our population is going to continue to increase at about the same level, somewhere around 3 to 6% a year. So that's on the same pace. Next slide. We've got a big project with the bus rapid transit along Central Avenue. And I just wanted to show everybody that based on our development study, demand study, once that's in place, over the next 7 to 10 years, there will be a tremendous amount of demand for additional development along that corridor, and developers are already moving in that direction. You can see the numbers related to each development type: office, industrial, and housing along that corridor. Next slide. We showed this last year. We're going to show it again. This is the overall market study demand over the next 30 years. Based on that study, I would go to the bottom of that slide, annualized demand for new development. You can see office development in the strong growth scenario at 135,000 square feet a year. Residential, 1,500 units a year. Rob is working on making sure that many of those are affordable. Retail, 63,000 square feet. We'll see how that plays out. And hotels at 185 rooms, new rooms a year. That gives you an insight into how well positioned the city is for development in the future. Next slide. And this is the last slide before I turn it over to the mayor to close. This is our scorecard. We are down in some of our measures in terms of improving from last year to this year. No surprise, that's because of the pandemic. But we did better in our comparison to peers. Last year, we were at 66% of those measures in the top half. This year, we're at 70%. And we still have strong numbers as it relates to the MSA. Please don't let anybody kid you. St. Petersburg drives to a great extent a lot of the positive numbers for the MSC, and we're proud of that and happy about that. So having concluded this year's State of the Economy for 2020, I want to turn it over to the mayor. The mayor is the architect of this plan, of this economy. It's an amazing list of accomplishments over his term, and it has been an honor to work for you, Mr. Mayor, and for the city.
Well, thank you, Alan. And let me begin my closing remarks by first saying a few thank yous to my team. First and foremost, to City Development Administrator Alan Delisle, Economic and Workforce Development Director Sophia Sorolis, our Small Business Liaison and Greenhouse Manager Jessica Eilerman, and really everyone on the city's economic development team, not only for a job well done in putting this presentation together this year, but really for the outstanding work that you have done through what has been, I don't think anybody would disagree, an incredibly challenging year with the pandemic. I also want to thank our marketing director, Nina Mahmoudi, and her entire team in the marketing department for their work on this presentation and the work that they have done in the past, but again, particularly this year, at elevating St. Petersburg's profile nationally and internationally. And lastly, I want to thank everyone in city administration, our neighborhood affairs department, public works, leisure services, along with the 3,500 employees of the city of St. Petersburg. The positives, and there were many, that you saw today in this presentation are a direct result of the dedication, the commitment, and the hard work of the entire city team. All right, so now that I have gotten all the thank yous out of the way, I want to just share a few of my thoughts in conclusion. And obviously, there's been a lot of information and a lot of data that you all have received today. But I think the takeaways from today's presentation should be that we are living today's theme, that of being a more resilient and diverse economy. I think it's been everything that we have focused on since my administration began has really been on trying to create a city that had a very diverse economy and was diverse in general, whether it's diversity of jobs, it's the diversity of the industries that we had, and equally important, a diversity in the people that make up our community, and trying to be more resilient so that, you know, when we had things happen that we didn't anticipate, and here we are in 2021, having just gone through and hopefully nearing the end of dealing with the pandemic, that we've been able to have an economy where our businesses could survive. Now, you know, I don't want to sugarcoat anything, and that wasn't our intent today, to not recognize that our small businesses have struggled, that people have lost their jobs, and that it's been a real challenge. But I think it's fair to say that our community and our city has fared far better than so many other cities in our region and our state in this country. And I think it's because of the work that we've done as a city administration and city council and city government, but it's also a product of the collaboration and the partnerships that exist throughout the city of St. Petersburg and this community. This is a really unique city in so many ways. And, you know, I get to talk to mayors all around the country frequently on U.S. Conference of Mayors meetings and Bloomberg Harvard City Leadership Initiative meetings, and I hear the struggles that they're going through. And the thing that I don't see in those communities that I see here is the thinking that we're all in it together, that we're all working together, that we all support each other together, all industries, no matter what our businesses are. Even if we're competitive businesses, when you see competitors, I think our craft brewers are a great example. You know, guys, these are folks are competing against each other. But when you go to the openings, who do you see there? You see the other craft brewers there. They're all there to support each other and to lift each other up. And so I think that's part of the reason that we've had the success that we've had. And it's the reason I'm as optimistic about the future and coming out of this pandemic, hitting the ground running as opposed to trying to dig ourselves out of the ditch caused by the pandemic. I think we are better positioned for hitting the ground running. And I also think it's because of the things we focused on. And that's why our economy is, and you're seeing the numbers you're seeing. We have really tried to focus on the quality of life that we provide to all of our residents and businesses alike in this city. And Alan highlighted some of the assets. Obviously, we're incredibly proud of our new St. Pete Pier and the recognition that it's already receiving. You know, we like to talk about the fact that we are a pet-friendly community and have been recognized as one of the most pet-friendly in the country. And that helps economic development. I think arts and culture obviously are a mainstay of who St. Petersburg is. I don't know that there's any other city our size in the country that has 11 museums and world-class museums, that is the home of the Florida Orchestra, the St. Pete Opera Company, that has the Shine Mural Fest where our entire city becomes a museum or a gallery that's open to everyone, visitors and residents alike. And it's a focus on equity and really working hard to try and create a city where of opportunity where the sun truly does shine on all who live, work, and play. Our South Side CRA and what we are doing there, I think, is groundbreaking. We are doing something that no other city that I'm aware of has done, and how we are investing those dollars. Alan talked a lot about it, and I think the numbers that you saw in this presentation are an example of the effectiveness of the Southside CRA. The opportunities that we're creating, the St. Pete Works, recognizing that so many people in our community need a second chance, and making sure that we give them a second chance. Paying attention to families and the importance of families with parental leave policies, and encouraging things like that to happen. And then obviously, if you're going to have economic development, you've got to have a workforce that's ready. And the educational attainment numbers that Alan talked about, I think, are fantastic, and the trend that they're going on. And really, that's a credit to our partnership with Eckerd College, with USF St. Pete, with St. Pete College, with PTech, and with the Pinellas County school system. And Dr. Grego and the entire school board of Pinellas County deserve a lot of credit. The graduation rates are going up. The gaps are decreasing that you are seeing, and that's a testament to the work that they're doing and that we're partnering with them on doing. So, even with COVID that's going on right now, I sit here today and I am incredibly optimistic about the future of St. Petersburg, the economic vitality of St. Petersburg, and the people of St. Petersburg. I couldn't be prouder of where we're at. I'm so excited. I hope you can gather that from my comments. I am truly excited about the future of this city. We have a lot of work to do going forward. There's still a lot we want to accomplish, certainly during my time and thereafter. But our trajectory is up. This city is going up, and people are moving down from the Northeast. Probably one of the silver linings of the pandemic is I think people are realizing, hey, aside from the weather, the whole environment is better in St. Petersburg. So thank you all for your partnership with the city. All of you who are on this call, you all play a vital role in the city's continued growth and the quality of life that we are creating. It isn't just government that gets it done. It gets done because of partnerships. It gets done because of collaboration. And it gets done because of a commitment to creating truly a city of opportunity where the sun does shine on all of us. So thank you all so much. And I guess, Alan, I'll close it out and say again, thank you all for attending. And we look forward to working with you in the future. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mayor.